Welcome to This Explainer. We're going to break down the definitive blueprint for building owned communities in the age of AI. So let's dive right into this. We are looking at a fundamental, ground up shift in how digital relationships are built, managed, and sustained. Look, the days of treating community management as some part time side hustle or a junior marketing role, those days are completely over. Today, it's the absolute core operating system of any successful modern organization. This quote right here perfectly captures why we're seeing this massive shift away from the transactional, highly commercialized public square and moving toward intimate, curated digital sanctuaries. Think about how insanely loud the internet has gotten lately. With algorithmic feeds absolutely saturated by AI-generated noise and hyper-commercialized clickbait, users are just exhausted. They're experiencing severe digital fatigue. So this idea represents the ultimate realization. The true value of your brand isn't in how many random eyeballs happen to scroll past your logo. It's in the depth of connection you actually own and protect. We've got a really packed explainer today. We're going to quickly cover the great digital migration, the evolution to Web 4.0, the 2026 strategic playbook, a tactical blueprint for engagement, and finally, moderation and community survival. Let's get to it. Starting with Section 1, the great digital migration. The crucial takeaway here is recognizing that the era of digital landlords throttling your organic reach is officially done. We are living through a mass exodus right now. Basically, what this means for you is that you just can't afford to rent your audience anymore on platforms that are literally engineered for outrage and ad impressions. You have to own it. For years, right, the playbook was super simple. Buy cheap traffic, convert it, remarket, repeat. But today, with new data privacy frameworks, the end of cookies, and skyrocketing ad costs, that whole model is shattered. And honestly, it's worse than that, because a single random tweak to a rented platform's algorithm can wipe out 90% of your engagement overnight. Public feeds are designed for distraction, but real communities require focus and psychological safety. Now, what's really fascinating about community-led growth, or CLG, is how it transforms users from being just consumers into active co-creators. This dramatically lowers churn and boosts lifetime value. As you know, acquisition is incredibly expensive right now. Retention is where you actually build a sustainable business. When someone just buys a product, okay, they're a consumer. But when they join a community around that product, they become a peer, an advocate, a contributor. It creates this incredible peer-to-peer ecosystem where your veteran members are naturally onboarding the newcomers. It scales your support network automatically and builds massive emotional loyalty. Moving on to Section 2, Evolution to Web 4.0. Let's look at how this builds on the actual architectural shifts of the internet itself. Recent academic research brilliantly tracks this progression, and seeing it mapped out like this is absolutely vital. Just look at the journey. We started with the static, read-only HTML pages of Web 1.0. Then we shifted into the highly social but corporately monopolized feeds of Web 2.0. Then came the decentralized, token-driven experiments of Web 3.0. And now? Well, we are firmly rooted in Web 4.0. This is the era of radical platform sovereignty and symbiotic AI. Communities aren't just flat forms anymore. They're these dynamic ecosystems where AI seamlessly handles all the background noise, which frees up humans to focus purely on curating knowledge and exchanging real, tangible value. Which brings us to Section 3, the 2026 Strategic Playbook. Armed with that context, let's explore the exact, actionable strategies you need to design your own sovereign space. The golden rule here is that you've got to stop funneling your dedicated members into noisy apps. Instead, convert their attention into ad-free, sovereign relationships under your own brand. Think of public platforms like X, YouTube, or TikTok as your wide discovery funnels. They're fantastic for catching attention. But your immediate next step has to be pulling those interested people into a dedicated digital hub that you completely control. Your own domain, completely free from third-party ads that are constantly trying to steal their attention away from you. Now, being a modern community manager means balancing a very specific duality. You have to leverage AI for sheer efficiency while fiercely protecting human empathy as your most sacred asset. You're not just an administrative clerk anymore, you're an experience architect. Think about it. If a community member shares a deeply vulnerable story and gets a robotic, generic auto-reply, the illusion of connection is instantly shattered. By offloading the tedious stuff, the tagging, the scheduling, the spam monitoring, to AI, you're preserving your limited human energy for the things that actually matter. Things like mentoring, resolving complex debates, and offering genuine warm welcomes. To keep members from feeling like just another anonymous face in a massive crowd, you really need to build cellular structures. It's so much easier to trust a peer group of 15 than a group of 15,000. We've all seen those massive chat rooms where absolutely no one talks, right? It's the classic bystander effect. It feels like standing up in the middle of a crowded stadium and shouting. But by breaking your community down into micro experiences, maybe a local chapter, a skill level masterclass, or a focused 30-day challenge, you create these intimate little pockets where genuine trust forms entirely naturally. Tools like Web4 Studio are game changers here because they let organizations launch customized, algorithm-independent ecosystems where the hard work of relationship building is actually protected. If you want true platform sovereignty, the right infrastructure is a must. Solutions like this ensure you aren't just handing over your hard-earned member list to an ad company. You retain complete data ownership and algorithmic independence. That means your members stay focused on your ecosystem and your custom brand identity, all supported by modern Web 4.0 workflows. Okay, Section 4, Tactical Blueprint for Engagement. Let's get into the weeds on the daily, tactical execution required to keep these ecosystems thriving. Here's a massive pitfall to avoid. Do not force the 90% of lurkers to post. Instead, tailor your strategy to everyone. Give your creators the spotlight, give your casual contributors low-friction polls, and make sure those lurkers have highly educational content to read. This is the famous 1-9-90 rule, and wrapping your head around this will save you so much frustration. It's a huge mistake to try to force that massive 90% group to suddenly become super active creators. Let them learn silently. Your job is just to support each tier where they're at. A community without predictable rhythms is gonna be easily forgotten. Implementing proven rituals naturally compounds engagement over time. People absolutely crave structure. When they know that every single Friday is the win of the week thread, they actually look forward to it. They'll save up their accomplishments all week just to share them. And simple things like a daily golden welcome where you tag new members with one incredibly easy, non-intimidating question breaks the ice immediately. Even doing quarterly community audits where you share the behind-the-scenes metrics, that level of radical transparency builds unbelievable trust. Finally, Section 5, Moderation and Community Survival. Let's talk about keeping the peace, because when humans gather, conflict is basically inevitable. You cannot just rely on some generic, legally dense terms of service. You have to create a visible, human-readable document and pair it with radical transparency whenever moderation actually happens. This living code of conduct shouldn't be buried in the fine print. It needs to plainly state why you're all gathered there, what good behavior actually looks like, and exactly what happens if someone brings in toxicity. And hey, when you do have to enforce the rules, like deleting a post or warning a user, do it openly. When moderation is fair, consistent, and transparent, the whole community feels infinitely safer. We also have to talk about burnout. Because these platforms literally never sleep, utilizing auto-moderation engines and empowering volunteer leaders is absolutely non-negotiable for protecting your staff's mental health. Community management is so emotionally taxing. You've got to clearly communicate your online hours so the community knows when to expect you. Let AI keyword filters catch the obvious spam before human eyes ever have to deal with it. And definitely elevate your most trusted super users to help cover different time zones. It's a shared ecosystem, so you've got to share the load. Ultimately, success here isn't about some static vanity metric. It's about keeping the ecosystem alive and valuable by providing non-extractive mutual reciprocity. This might be the most profound shift of all. Old Web 2.0 communities were built to extract value from people, sell their data, push them ads. But the 2026 community thrives because members are getting way more value out of the space than they're putting in, whether that's premium education, mentorship, or peer support. You don't ever win at community management. You just keep the beautiful game going. So here's the big question. Are you going to keep renting your audience completely at the mercy of digital landlords? Or are you ready to build your own sovereign sanctuary? I hope this explainer has made it clear why owning your digital real estate is the ultimate moat for 2026. The tools are here, the strategy is proven, and shifting from renting to owning really isn't optional anymore if you want to survive Web 4.0. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this playbook, and I leave you to consider who truly controls the future of your community.